Beto O'Rourke joins Elizabeth Warren in calling for the elimination of the Electoral College, saying there's a lot of wisdom in that. Really? Also, a new poll has come out painting Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez as the villain in the Amazon debacle, and she doesn't like that at all. Finally, Trump weighs in on yet another incident of social media bias. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour.
God bless the United States of America.
Okay, so the other day, Elizabeth Warren announced in a CNN town hall, and we'll get to a little bit of her comments, that the Electoral College has to go. You know, it's just bad, it's outdated, the same old, left-wing talk. And yesterday, Beto joined her in calling for the elimination of the Electoral College. And here's what Beto had to say regarding this institution. He said, I think there's a lot to that. Because you had an election in 2018 where the loser got 3 million more votes than the victor, O'Rourke said in a video posted online. It puts some states out of play altogether. They don't feel like their votes really count. If we really want everyone to vote, to give everyone every reason to vote, we have to make sure that the votes count and go to the candidate of their choosing. So I think there's a lot of wisdom in that. All right, that was yesterday. The day before, Elizabeth Warren was speaking at a CNN town hall. You know, they've been doing these infomercials for all the Democrat candidates. And this time it was Elizabeth Warren, and she was asked about not only, the Electoral College and voting, but voter suppression and all these, evil things that Republicans must be doing to keep down the vote. And here's what she had to say at her town hall. Every vote matters, and the way we can make that happen is that we have national voting, and that means get rid of the Electoral College, Warren told an audience at the historically black Jackson State University in Mississippi. I believe we need a constitutional amendment that protects the rights to vote for every American citizen and make sure that the votes get counted, she said. We need to put some federal muscle behind that, and we need to repeal every one of the voter suppression laws that are out there. Oh my gosh. First of all, there are no voter suppression laws out there, and everybody already has a constitutional right to vote. Man, woman, doesn't matter. 18 or over, as long as you're not a felon, you can vote. And as far as voter suppression, making sure that only the proper people vote is part of the American Republic. If we build this whole country off of this sanctity of voting, we need to make sure it's right. So people can take one, afternoon out of every couple years to get a voter registration card or some kind of ID card that is not that big of a hassle to ensure that voting is proper and legitimate. And this idea that we have to repeal all these voter suppression laws is simply appealing to the base that where she was and trying to score cheap political points. But let's get to the core of the matter. Why are they doing this? In recent weeks, we've seen a number of bizarre claims from the Democrats and from the left. They want illegals to vote. They want people 16 years old to vote. Now they want the Electoral College, which has been brought up in the past. And the reason they do that is because they win on the popular vote, because you have population centers in these that become massively liberal, massively concentrated, and they control elections. And do we really want the country to be controlled by major cities? I mean, it just doesn't make sense. All these major cities across the country, Chicago, Detroit, Baltimore, Oakland, San Francisco, Los Angeles, they're controlled by the left. And you see the pathetic nature of these cities, how some have even claimed, declared for bankruptcy. The crime is outrageous. The cities are poorly run. And yet that is the influence, the mentality that they want to run the entire country. But the founding fathers, had a great idea when they came up with the Electoral College. And I just wanted to give you some background on that, because it really makes a lot of sense. In fact, it makes, more sense than you really need to think about how genius they were when they came up with this. Now, there were a number of reasons for installing the Electoral College, and one of them was based on this equity between the large states and the small states. Just like you had the debate between the House and Senate, and how the Senate became, 2 votes for every state, so there was equal representation, and the House was based on population. The Electoral College is similar in that each state gets a certain number of votes based on the number of representatives and plus the 2 senators. So big states will always have more influence, but it's not the extraordinary, outrageous influence as if it were done strictly by population. The other thing that the founders were against, and Alexander Hamilton wrote about this in Federalist 68, so check that out, Federalist paper number 68, where he talked about the Electoral College. And as much as they feared a tyrannical government, the other thing that they did not want is a democracy for America, direct democracy where people elected the president directly, because they felt that could lead to mob mentality, mob rule, where vocal groups controlled everything. They wanted a republic, if we can keep it. And that's what we got. And so because of that, they thought that they would insert this extra layer where people in each state voted for electors that could be, calm and wise and think through the issues and then make their vote. Now that's kind of changed, because now as the states, go either Republican or Democrat, electors are usually, even in many states, bound by law to carry out the will of the people in that state. They're not free to choose kind of among themselves, even though some do. So that part has changed, but it's this extra level that gets it away from just a mob mentality. And it's a very wise to read Alexander Hamilton again in Federalist 68, but it really talks about that reason. And also you need to remember that America is a union of states, okay? Federal government comes second. It's states' rights that govern first. The whole Constitution was designed to say, okay, we're a bunch of states, let's put this power to the federal government. And as the 10th Amendment states, everything else is resolved or reserved for the states. I mean, here, let me put this up. This is the 10th Amendment right here. It says, the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively, or to the people. Power to the people and to the states. That's number one. And thus, when we have a presidential election, the only election for a nationwide public official, that election is done by the states. People say, oh, you have to win the popular vote. Well, guess what? You do. President Trump won the popular vote in 30 states compared to Hillary Clinton winning the popular vote in only 20. So when they talk about the popular vote, he did it in 30 different states, and that's why he won. And that's why we need to keep the Electoral College, so we can avoid population centers run by the left controlling absolutely everything. All right, let's move on. We need to talk about a new poll. As you know, on Monday's show, we talked about how Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is losing support almost across the board. I'll put this chart up there that shows that in almost every major demographic, except for Democrats and non-whites, she is losing. I mean, so this means that among women, her unfavorability has grown, okay? She's losing support among millennials, and on and on and on. So now a new poll has come out, and the Hill reports on it the other day, and here's what they had to say. It says, almost 40% of New Yorkers voters in a new poll believe Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez bears responsibility as a villain in Amazon's decision to back out of its plan to put a second headquarters in Queens. The Siena College poll, which was released on Monday, found that 38% of respondents thought of the freshman lawmaker as a villain when they were asked to consider her role in the tech giant's exit. The survey asked respondents to identify figures in the Amazon debate as either a hero, villain, or role player. 12% thought AOC was a hero, while 24% said she was a role player. Okay, this is what she tweeted following Amazon's withdrawal from their deal to put that headquarters right there near her district. Anything is possible. Today was a day a group of dedicated, everyday New Yorkers and their neighbors defeated Amazon's corporate greed, its worker exploitation, and the power of the richest man in the world. Okay, her big beef, that she got all up in arms about was that New York was offering $3 billion and tax incentives and tax, deferred credits over, I believe, a 10-year period, okay? The Amazon deal was estimated to bring in 25,000 jobs and close to $30 billion, almost a 10-to-1 return on the investment to bring Amazon there. And yet that's what she fought. So these polls come out now and has her all up in arms, the one that I mentioned on Monday, and then this one. And here's what she had to say about her latest blasting and latest disapproval. She says, when centrists care more about the GOP base than the Dem base, bigotry gets legitimized. This is the playbook. GOP does it virtually with every Democrat figure who isn't a white male. Otherize, demonize, and splinter. It's vital that we adapt and dismantle this approach, not cow to it. Okay, so she's referencing a tweet by David Atkins, who wrote, it's interesting to see centrists subtly downplay or ignore the effects of racism, sexism, and Fox News targeting when discussing AOC's overall approval rating. So basically what they're saying there is that the only reason that AOC's poll numbers are going down is because of sexism, racism, and Fox News has made her a target. Well, as you can see from the polling, she's going down in every group. Groups that would tend not to even watch Fox News. The reason she's going down is because she's saying ridiculous things. And they immediately blame it on racism or sexism. So you have to, be with her. If you think she's nuts, if you think the things she says are insane, then guess what? You have the problem. You're a racist. You're a sexist. You're some Fox News, hack or, devotee or whatever. And that's it. You can't have a logical reason for disagreeing with her. You can't think, oh my gosh, you're absolutely nuts. Your facts don't make any sense. They don't add up. They're flat out wrong. Yet people like us, we're the bad guys. So anyway, it's just crazy. But all right, now President Trump has come out and addressed a growing issue, and that is the censorship of conservatives in the media and on social media. And here's what he had to say from a press conference just yesterday.
I have many millions of followers on Twitter, and it's different than it used to be. Things are happening. Names are taken off. People aren't getting through. You've heard the same complaints. And it seems to be if they're conservative, if they're Republicans, if they're in a certain group, there's discrimination and big discrimination.
All right, so that was in reference to the leader of the Federalist, who Twitter announced that he was shadow banned the other day accidentally. And for those of you who don't know, shadow banning means that you're not banned from posting or anything like that. You can post, you think it's all good, but no one sees your stuff. So it's basically as if you were flat out blocked from the platform. You think everything's okay, but no one can see. Your message doesn't get out. They're not doing that with the left, but they are doing it with the right, increasing numbers. And this one that they just had to, come out and apologize says it was accidental. It was a goof up. So anyway, that's our show for today, folks. Thank you for your support. Monday's show is doing great. Friday's show absolutely blew up. It's topped 300,000 views, and that's all because of you. So I just wanted to say thanks. Please tell your friends about it, and please subscribe. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is the 13-Minute News Hour.